Good morning everyone and welcome to the Sunday update. I'm just kind of upstairs in the windowsill where I continually harvest all of these ladybugs, and there's another one. Need to wash this window, but it's hard to get to the outside. Found at least 4 so far, and I've only been up here for about a minute, so hopefully it'll be another massive harvest like the other day, but can't hold the camera and gather ladybugs at the same time. So, well, it looks like just 6 more to add to the army today, but any extra hungry mouths down there helps. Fantastic. And the larvae from those ladybug eggs are doing quite nicely. Check out this clip I have from this morning. Just thought I'd show you really quickly. Here is a fast-moving example of the ladybug in its larval stage. As you can see, they have grown significantly, and it is moving fast, looking for food. Fascinating shape to these guys, though. Anyway, still got quite a few hard-working ladybugs around here, and it seems they actually really like the mint. I was noticing this morning that pretty much every mint I looked at had a ladybug on it. So that's interesting. Probably not there for the aphids, since apparently aphids don't like the mint. Might as well open this up for today's release. Let them wander out and go where they will. They seem to be doing a pretty good job, though. Pretty impressed. So Ahi Panic is once again needing me to raise the light, but we're just going to have to come to some sort of compromise there for now. These dark opal basil seem to be doing fairly well. I should probably clip off the old growth, let the new stuff shine through. I believe that's how you're supposed to maintain basil. We kind of like to be constantly cut back. Those little kale down there in the cup seem to be doing just fine. These are probably some of the least happy looking tomatoes I've got in the dungeon garden. What are these? Bush beefsteak improved. Pretty sure there are others of those around, so I'm not terribly worried about that. But I should probably double check that before I go trotting around so confident. Here we've still got the surviving leeks, desperately needing to be transplanted. Not quite sure what to put them into. Maybe a tote. Actually, that's probably a really good idea. Just transplant those into a tote and kind of spread them all out and let them grow for a while. That dill definitely needs to be moved somewhere. These kale over here with the ladybug jar, though, they all seem to be looking pretty good for going outside. And even with all those little white cabbage moths that we have around here, kale seemed to do alright. I think it was the dino kale that did best, so I'm quite pleased that there's so much of that around. Ladybugs everywhere. You'd think they wouldn't want to be directly on the light bulb. How is that a good idea? I guess that's probably even worse with fluorescence. Find out about that when I do get that one big barn style floodlight. Noticing the tomato over here finally seems to be putting a little bit of growth on, so that's kind of exciting. But yeah, the aquaponic portion of this game is doing better than I would have expected for the fish that are still so small. I mean, really. Sure, there's 21 of them in there. Still haven't lost any, which I think is great, because feeder fish and half of them were still in the quarantine tank at the shop. But yeah, even at their size, I didn't think that they'd really put out enough to produce that kind of growth. That is impressive, and that is why I love aquaponics. I don't have to change nutrients, I don't have to dump the water out. I can just put the fish in there, let them do their thing, keep it like a fish tank, and it all kind of works from there. I mean, there's plumbing and you have to figure a few things out, but otherwise this is the ultimate lazy man's gardening. So I love it. Anywho, let's look down at the seedling table here. And looking down here, you can instantly notice I've got the tops off of both of these trays, and the pepper tray has clearly been raided. I don't think I'm going to get a whole lot more sprouting up out of this, which is a little tragic. But old seeds, bad conditions, I'm kind of impressed that I got as much as I did. There are a couple here, like this is the Ahi Hab, I believe. I can't quite bring myself to transplant that, but it's the only one that sprouted, so I can't bring myself to kill it. So this tray is going to get a little bit more time to see what it can do based on basically mercy, sympathy, and I don't know, quote-unquote thriftiness. But you can see a lot of the varieties I have gotten at least one or two out of, and we'll look at those in a minute. Because, and so many of you will be so proud of me, most of them don't have humidomes. There was one Reaper that kind of had a bit of a transplant issue, so it's got a humidome, but otherwise. Looking over here at the newer 72, I believe these are both dill. They're popping up, doing great. This is the unpronounceable tomato that I got from Rob Bob. It also appears to be doing fairly well. And Rooster Spur pepper, and I believe that might be another one there. I think those came from Reservation Fire. So we've got a few things popping up in here. I think that's a row of basil. And I think this here is the bee balm that we saved back from the old house. Actually, Shocks probably should take the credit for saving that. And, oh, there's something coming up here. What is that? Oregano! Yay, oregano from seed. It looks so tiny when it's a baby. Okay, cool, very exciting. Thinking of tomatoes, the bell stars, pardon me, seem to be coming along just fine. Black vernissage, definitely coming along fine. And there was something I wanted to point out about tomatoes. Oh yes, down here on the shelf, so we'll get to that in a second. The mint cutting's doing okay. The oregano cutting, I think, might be starting to get some roots in there, because that's not flopping over dead, is it? Only one spaghetti squash came up, so I'm definitely going to want to start a few more of those. I've got some biodegradable pots, though, or planters I'm going to try those with. 3 black zucchini seem to be doing strong, growing strong, doing alright. Massive seed leaves on these things, though. Now, here, these are those early Canada improved watermelons. And, yeah, they don't like transplanting much. They weren't looking good in the cup, so I figured I'd try and move them. I broke half of them. I already got one that's died since the transplant. Still got these 3 that appear to be surviving. But I just don't know. I was so excited about those because, yeah, growing watermelons in Manitoba, challenge accepted. I'll give it a go. What do we have here? My sugar pumpkins. Nice to have 2 vines started for that. Hopefully they'll do well when I transplant them outside. I think based on those watermelons, I'm just going to leave well enough alone, though. Okra, I don't think I'm going to get any okra out of that. Got 1 lonely cauliflower start here. 3 little tiny, I think these are cabbages. 1 straight 8 cucumber. I'm going to do a whole lot of direct planting for cucumbers, because I've got a few more varieties of those yet. But back there we've got the little Brussels sprouts. Not doing terribly well. Gardening's always an adventure. And to be perfectly honest, I have a lot of really, really ridiculously old seed, and I should have, used it up by now. Thinking of seeds, I haven't used the paper towel and a baggie method for seed sprouting in quite some time, so I figured I'd give it a go with the last shipment of seeds that I got from Justin there. So I got some Bad Brains in here, some Bootla Clamshell. Those are a couple of the bonus varieties that he sent. Always love ordering from him because of all the bonuses he sends. And then the Ahi Fantasies. These I actually bought on purpose. Don't worry about all that black in there. That's just dirt, because I dipped it into that loaf pan, which still had an awful lot of residual soil. And yeah, it looks worse than it is. It's not molding, fear not. But yeah, I put those down yesterday, labeled them with today's date, so whatever. I'm 1 day off in that. But hopefully we'll see some sprouts coming out of here. And then there's the whole but transplanting them into soil, because I've had mixed results and I've heard of a lot of folks who have had mixed results, but I've also heard from a lot of people that swear it works and do it every time. So I've got to play with it again. I've got to, because this is terribly wasteful in my opinion. Look how much space it's taking up, look how much soil it's taking up, and I'm not getting anything out of the vast majority of these squares that are still filled. So why even waste my precious soil when I can just potentially use a paper towel or coffee filter or a bit of sponge or a cloth even? I don't know. There's room for experimentation here. Lots of room. So looking down here at the shelf with those PVC LEDs, this was the tomato surprise I was going to mention. This is what sprouted up in the Big Red Mama container, and that is not a pepper. So I now have a mystery tomato. I don't know if it's one of the varieties that I previously planted or what's going on there, but that's always fun. Mystery plants, mystery plants. You'll notice I got a humidome back there, and that is from the little black seed shelf, because I have a couple of serranos that have finally sprouted. So huzzah! Not a terribly painful pepper, but one that I can actually share with the neighborhood. So that's cool, because I like gardening to share it with people, and if it's too hot for most people, you can't share it, you know? You can see I've got these party cups all kind of spaced out between the party cups and the little styrofoam cups. It kind of works to use this planter for spacing. So everything down here, aside from the serranos, is duplicates of other things. We're going to go look under the big funky LED, and I'll show you what I did yesterday. Here we have all of my transplants from yesterday. All those empty squares you saw in the first 72 now been spread out here. I'm giving them the best possible light that I can, and as always hoping for the best. Oh, that one little larva is still running laps on the chocolate poodle. Excellent. Work it, my friend. Keep that pepper safe. It's the only one I've got. But we've got a lot of varieties that have now been added to this. I've got a chocolate moruga growing now. There's an M.A. Wartrix growing in the collection now. I think that's this one. Yeah. Which is excellent, because, you know, the one I brought in last fall died pretty quick. I kept it around as an ugly looking stick, but didn't make it any less dead. Get the one little Scotch Brain 7-pot pheno here. Can barely see it. I haven't decided if I'm going to transplant that yet or not, because I've been kind of messing around with double cupping a few of those styrofoam cups, and yeah, I haven't committed to a result on that, so I don't know. I might carry on with it just because they fit in some places that these bigger cups don't, but thinking of roots. So I was looking at this paper lantern the other day, and it's not the nicest looking plant. Oh look, yet another ladybug. It's not the nicest looking plant in the collection, but you know what it's got for me? It's got a root. So I guess this is going to be my next coffee cup pepper. So I kind of rearranged things a little bit yesterday too, to make sure I had room for the coffee can in there. And yeah, hopefully soon this one here is going to start to look like the other coffee can peppers. I mean, look at this one here. This is crazy. This is the Ahi Penic. I came down yesterday. Its can was completely dry. It looked so sad and wilted. I thought for sure I was going to have to show you yet another dead pepper. And, well, honestly, I just remembered all the comments Rev's made about I let them look like they're so completely wilted and they're gonna die, and then I water them, and sure enough I filled up the base of this thing, and by the time I came down last night to do a little bit more transplanting, it was already, look at me, I'm a happy pepper plant. So I think I'm gonna really probably run with this coffee can reservoir setup, because it seems to be working for others, and it actually seems to be working for me. Speaking of coffee can improvements, this is the coffee tree that was upstairs in the kitchen window, and I had these set up from years ago. Oh no, I just knocked over a baby pepper. Stay. Anyway, I had these set up from years ago. I got a little strip of a bed sheet running out of the bottom of a standard planter, and then it goes into the reservoir beneath, kind of like a giant double cup. And this poor plant, which has suffered and struggled for so long since I've put it into that setup, has branched out and is putting out loads of new growth. So I'm probably going to take these dead leaves off it in the next few days and let it just carry on. I'm really excited. Yet again, I have found another way to make these stupid coffee cans into a very useful garden accessory. So that just amazes me. You know, reuse and then recycle, right? The base of environmentally friendly right there. Just reuse it as much as you can, then dispose of it properly. The tomato forest coming along quite nicely. And believe it or not, I found more tomatoes that I still have yet to plant, because some of you may remember all of the dead plants hanging back here. I found on there some Lemon Boy tomatoes that I had harvested, but obviously not gotten around to eating in time. They kind of looked like these. So we've got some squishy ones that feel like they've maybe fermented a little bit. We've got a fairly firm one. And we've got some dried, wrinkly ones. So I'm going to be planting all 3 of these in separate cups, and we're going to see what comes of that. Apparently my battery is dying. So on that note, looking at some interesting shades of disgusting old tomatoes, I guess we're going to wrap this up, and I will see you guys on Tuesday.